she's Jamaican, half Jamaican, and doesn't talk to her father, but she's also got an Indian mother. So I was like, well, that's not a big step away from Rachel Dolezal. Didn't they both go to Howard or something? Like, what's the difference? I didn't see it. But I think it's because of the Democrat Republican thing. Like, we're not legally allowed to criticize the Democrats. I think that's where I have to be careful about what I say, right? So anyway, moving on. I'm not going to be careful, but that's what I'm seeing. All right, so here we go. Indians' unpaid debts to blacks. In the early development of colonial America, Europeans included incentives to dissuade alliances between blacks and Indians in nearly every Indian treaty. Culturally, politically, and economically, Indians were classified above blacks. Many Indians adopted the racial attitudes that blacks were inferior, their skin color, the outward sign of their predestined status as slaves. There were major differences in the way Indians and blacks were treated. The dominant white society felt a sense of indebtedness to Indians and taught them they were superior to blacks. Whites respected Indian heritage, culture, and religion. Therefore, it was acceptable for Indians to assimilate with the white race, to become educated, and to farm land. On the other hand, government treaties required Indians to aid in the capture of runaway slaves and turn them over to local white authorities or owners. So basically, they made a space where they incentivized them to hunt you down and kill you or bring you back to your master. Like whites, Indians found slave trading to be extremely profitable. So Indians and whites made a lot of money from slave trading. By the close of the 1700s, all five of the so called civilized Indian societies were slave traders and owners and fought alongside the Southern Confederacy in the Civil War to maintain slavery. The degree of slave trading and ownership among Indians varied from tribe to tribe. The Cherokee, Choctaw, and Chickasaw had the most anti black reputation. So the Cherokee, Choctaw, and Chickasaw were most notoriously anti-black. They were kind of like the red MAGA, apparently, I guess. These figures tell a part of the story. In 1824, listen to this. This is why I love Dr. Anderson. He'd be bringing the receipts, numbers, statistics. In 1824, there were 1,277 black slaves being held by 15,560 Cherokees. So for every let's see, so the slave to Cherokee ratio in that nation was about 1 to 14 ish, something like that. So for every 14 Cherokees, there was one black person in that tribe, and that black person was a slave. Does that make sense? Tell me if you get what I'm saying here. I'm going fast. I want to make sure we're following along here. All right. On the eve of the Civil War in 1861, the situation between blacks and Indians had worsened. In that year, 25,000 Choctaw and Chickasaw Indians owned more than 5,000 black slaves. So they took more slaves. So they were enslaving us too. So 25,000 Choctaw and Cherokees took 5,000 slaves. Okay. The Chickasaw tribe offered the following explanation for supporting slavery and the Southern Confederacy during the Civil War. Let's hear their explanation. Let's see why they wanted to make you into a slave. Quote, our geographical position, our social and domestic institutions, our feelings and sympathies all attach to our Southern friends, or they attach us to our Southern friends. So we are connected to our friends in the South. We want to be down with Billy Bob Nim and the KKK and the Southern folks. So as Southern people, we consider their cause of holding slaves to be our cause. This is what Dr. Anderson writes here. He says after the Southern Confederacy and the Indians lost the Civil War, neither Southern whites nor Indians wanted blacks to have their quote unquote 40 acres and a mule. So you had the people that said, let's give them the 40 acres and a mule, page 197. The book is called Dirty Little Secrets by Dr. Claude Anderson, powernomics.com. That's the website. Get copies for your kids. So basically, when you had the people that said, let's give them 40 acres and a mule, why? Well, because in America, we have a capitalist society. And in the capitalist society, you cannot survive without capital. You cannot survive without wealth. You cannot survive without resources. You need some land. You need some tools. You need some skills. You need some money. You need some wealth. You need something, right?